Welcome to the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live on WPPM 106.5 Philly. It's what we do, man. Each and every Monday, 2 p.m. Kenneth L. Johnson locked in. We are locked in the middle of our executive leadership series right now. I get excited about this series for so many different reasons because I get to chop it up with people that I know, people that I admire, people that I value, and I get to do it for you on whatever way you're reaching it, whatever way we're reaching you. It could be on 106.5 FM WPPM Philly. We could be on the stream. You can be tuned in on LinkedIn. You can be tuned in on Facebook. Whatever it is that you're doing, we are just excited and happy to have you here. So thank you so very much for joining us today. Okay. You know I got to talk about it. I owe some apologies to some people out here in the world. I don't live in a vacuum. I know it's all about career, culture, community. But I don't live in a vacuum. I know what happened Saturday night. The team that beat the Sixers won the national championship. I'm sorry, not the national championship. The team that beat the Sixers won the NBA championship. I'll have to say it. It's the New York Knicks. So I owe some people apologies. One of those people, Evan A. Carrington. I've been giving it to her for a couple years about the Sixers and the Knicks. Sean Paul Wade, another person who I've been in his ear about this. Y'all won the championship. It's good. It's good. We're going to see y'all next year. That's the faith I have in my Sixers. All right, Philly. I had to say it. I had to get it off my chest. I appreciate y'all giving me that moment to do that. All right. As I mentioned, Kenneth L. Johnson Show, WPPM 106.5, Philadelphia. It's the Executive Leadership Series. I get really excited for these shows, again, because I get to meet amazing people. Today, that amazing person is Milton Corsey. Milton is here live in studio on WPPM 106.5. Excited to have you here, my friend.
I appreciate that. I'm really excited to be here with you as well. I just give you one little pushback.
Let's do it.
Apologizing to those Knicks fans.
Let's do it,
bro. We feel it.
Oh, okay. We're not apologizing to them? We're not apologizing?
Never.
I take it back. I take it back. Milton said we're going to stay true to the Sixers. I take it back. No apologies necessary. Go ahead and celebrate, but we're not with that. All right, I can appreciate that. That's the attitude we need. That's a lot of that North Philly in you. They tell me you're from Strawberry Mansion.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love. Oh, no what?
What's
and then you got some Villanova background in you as well.
100%. Yeah.
So you're not Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. Like what we doing?
Yeah, listen, I'm rocking with them from a Nova perspective.
Okay.
But they in New York now, bro.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. When they're here in town, it's all love.
It's all love. It's all love. All right. Look, I wanted to bring you on the show for a couple different reasons, man. You talk about the biggest leadership problem isn't the skills deficit. It's a human deficit. I love that because in 2025, my firm, East Coast Executives, we decided to lock down real jobs, real resumes, real people, real conversations, right? And that's the work we're doing. I see you doing this human thing and you're out here. You're an author. You're a leadership coach. You're doing so much more. Please tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hey, listen, thank you so much again. Like I said, my name is Milton Corsey. I've been a leadership trainer, developer, and coach for the past 20 years. Been working with companies large and small across the United States, right? Helping them build their leadership benches, help their people develop the necessary skills and abilities that they need to lead people. And essentially, you talked about the whole idea of the human perspective of leadership, right? Because I'm going to admit this. When I first started this gig about 20 years ago, that wasn't where my focus was. It was like most people, right? It was about what are the different competencies that you need to master?
Yes.
What are the skills that you need to master? You need to understand how to plan strategically. You need to understand how to, how to implement planning and all that kind of good stuff. Those are all still vitally important things. But at the end of the day, what I've come to realize, and it's really interesting, has happened kind of in retrospect.
Okay.
Right. Like I said, I've been doing this maybe 12, 15 years at this point. And I was looking back at some of the folks that I had the opportunity to work with, right? And I realized that essentially what I had trained them on, the skills I helped them build were the same across the board. Right? Everybody got the same thing. There was a subset of people who were extraordinarily successful. And and the vast majority of people fine, but they never really optimized their opportunities. And in retrospect, when I look back at it, what I realized was that it wasn't a skills thing. It wasn't about that. right? Because they all had the same skill set. It was really about the ability to connect with people, to build trust, to build the things that are necessary for teams to perform at a high level.
Okay.
That really was the difference. That was the driver behind the book and kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah, know what, you mentioned the book. Please share the title.
Yeah, the title of the book is To Lead is Human.
To Lead is Human. Okay.
Yeah, To Lead is Human, how you can use emotional intelligence and relationships to build high performing teams.
I love it. I love it. Amazon?
Amazon, yep. You can get it on Amazon right now. It's out there.
All right, so talk to us about this. I want to jump right into this. There's parts of this conversation that I really love. And one of the things is, I know that people need to create a certain mindset. There has to be a mindset shift when you're going from a managerial role to an executive leadership role. Talk to me about some of the things that people need to bring with them as they make that transition.
Absolutely. And there are things you need to bring with you for sure, but I'd rather focus on the idea of what do you need to let go of.
Oh,
right?
I like that.
Let go of.
Okay.
And here's the fundamental difference. You'll find people who are frontline managers, right? Or even middle managers. They're about getting things done, right? They're about getting things done. Leadership, we're talking about moving into that executive ranks. It's not about what you do. It's about who you become, right? That's the paradigm shift.
Sure.
That I think that people need to understand first and foremost, because as a leader, right, people need to have a reason to connect with you, right? And the people who are on your team, the people who work for you, typically, and I repeat this multiple times in the book, right? There's 3 human questions that everybody asks you every day. Now, they're not articulating these questions verbally, but they're asking them every day. They're asking you, do you see me? Do you hear me? And do you value me?
Okay, so that's very much like an emotional intelligence and EQ platform that you're working on from there. And that's really the thing. You know, it's interesting. Last week we had executive coach Nicole Smith on the show, and she talked about, what do you want to be as a leader and what's the impact that you want to have? Because it's very important, because that's a personal relationship, and how you're supporting the people that work for you or the people that you're looking to platform for future opportunities. Talk to me a little bit about that. What's the leader's responsibility in that?
The leader's responsibility is to make sure that their intention matches the impact. Because oftentimes, I think we can all imagine times, and there's probably times in your life, right, where what you intended is not what the other person received, right? And this is why the whole emotional intelligence thing is so important, because you need to, as a leader, be aware of that what you're necessarily intending isn't what the other person is experiencing. And for you as leaders, especially in the senior leader position, the goal is, how do I bring those 2 things into alignment?
Okay.
So that what I intend is what they're getting.
Yes.
So that, because here's what happens when people don't see themselves as being seen, heard, and valued, they begin to shut down, right? They begin to protect themselves. They're going to now start to say to you what they think you want to hear versus what you need to hear. So it's important to you as a leader to be in a position where you're making sure that they're understanding that, A, you want them to bring their entire selves to this. You want them to be comfortable to share all of their insight. You want them to, that's the real value. That's what's important for you to do as a senior.
How do you develop emotional intelligence? Like, because a lot of people look at that as something someone brings to the table, but what I'm hearing through this executive leadership series is that that's something that needs to be nurtured, taught, developed as well. Do you feel that way?
100%.
Okay.
It is a skill set that can be learned. It's even like, if we go back and we look at it, pardon me for this kind of shift of things, but if you think about IQ, right? People think IQ is stagnant. When that test was developed by Professor Binet in France, it was not about a static thing. IQ was something that was fungible, was manageable, was workable. This is just said, here's where you are right now, and what can we do to help improve you if in fact we need to improve you in these areas. Emotional intelligence works very similar to that, right? In other words, it is a set of skills that one can learn to master. And I think the first thing, that I would suggest that everybody kind of focus in on, if you want to master this idea of being emotionally intelligent is the idea of self-awareness. Right? You need to understand how the world sees, hears, and reacts to your impact.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense to me. All right. So as you navigate working with these individuals in leadership. What are the things that you're hearing from leaders that they're looking for in their proteges, in their team? What are the things that they're looking for and that they want more of in that process?
Great question. I think what I hear them asking for, what I see them looking for, is that they're looking for people to do all the things we just talked about, right? To bring their whole selves, right? They understand that that they have a limited capacity, and that there's going to be aspects of the business, insights that they're not going to have, and that the people in their team have, and they need those people to share that with them openly and honestly, right? That's where probably one of the biggest frustrations is they say, yeah, I'm not getting the feedback that I need. I'm not getting, people want to tell me, hey, no, stop. I don't think that's a great idea. And here's why I don't think it's a great idea. So but a lot of that, it's a 360, right? I have to be able to create the environment where you feel comfortable doing that.
Sure.
I can't put that on you, because at the end of the day, if I'm your manager, if I'm your leader, if I'm the executive here, right? My name is on the bottom of your check, right? I get to decide whether or not you have a job.
Sure.
So it's going to be very difficult for you to speak truth to power if I haven't invited you into that. So that's one of the biggest things I'm hearing.
As we continue to advance the conversation on executive leadership, I'd like to talk about some things that you see in people that maybe allowed them to succeed as a manager, but they need to let go when they move into executive leadership. Talk to me a little bit about some of those things.
Sure. I think I mentioned one earlier. That is like you go from being a doer to a leader. That's really fundamentally different things.
Sure.
Right? Because, for instance, and this is typical, right? Let's say that you're a great salesperson. They're going to promote you and say, hey, the way that I'm going to promote you, Kenneth, the way I'm going to reward you for your excellence at this task is putting you in charge of the task. and great, but that's a completely different skill set. And it's not the same thing, right? As what's required. So one of the biggest things that leaders have to focus in on, as I mentioned at the very beginning of our conversation, is how do you become? Leadership is about becoming. It's not about tasks. It's not about competencies. It's not about skill. It's about becoming.
Yes.
That person, right? Becoming the leader.
So is that an executive presence thing? And if it is, right, give me your definition of executive presence.
Okay. Because yes and no.
Okay.
In some ways, it is about executive presence in this regard. From my perspective, executive presence is the ability to bring people into coalescence around a vision, a mission, and a goal that we are all sharing and that we all believe in passionately. And we're going to put the effort into.
Is that something that needs to be kind of walked through initially, like just explaining to people where it is that you're looking to go? And then we had Lawrence Griffith on, CEO of Digital Factory, and he spoke about this. He felt that his job was to explain to people where they were looking to go as an organization, and then get feedback from them on how to get there, and then go on that journey.
Couldn't agree with him more.
I love it.
He's absolutely spot on.
Okay.
Right. That's the goal. Like one of my favorite sayings, I call them Miltonisms, right? One of my favorite Miltonisms is the idea of is that when it comes to leadership, when it comes to business, right? Clarity is a kindness, right? You need to be clear with everybody exactly what success looks like, what it is we're trying to accomplish here. Because two things will happen. That clarity is great for them, but also, it's going to attract your tribe. It's going to attract the right people, right? Because oftentimes, quick sidebar, I have a client I'm working with right now, and there's an issue with a particular employee that they're working with. And I asked her, I said, and asked this person, I said, tell me about it.
Yes.
And they list off all these things.
Okay.
And then as I was listening to them, I said, you tell me a lot about things about them. Who are they? Who is that person in front of you? What's important to them? This person had some significant issues going on in their lives that had maybe undermined their own self-worth, their own self-trust, all those kind of things.
Okay.
They were aware of that, but they didn't talk about that. So I said, you didn't really see the person in front of you. That person is a person who's going through this traumatic life experience, a person who's had these challenges, who may question their own capabilities and abilities. So instead of saying to them, "I trust you, I believe you, go get it done," right? I would say to them, "Okay, how can I help you?" Right? That's a very different thing. You're putting them in charge of the process
Sure.
versus setting these what they might consider to be unreasonable expectations.
Really important work you're doing. It's the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live on WPPM 106.5 Philadelphia. Kenneth L. Johnson, Milton Corsey. Listen, I want to talk a little bit about this whole, I don't want to leave this executive presence thing alone, right? It's such a big topic out here as we navigate through, even if you're just on LinkedIn and you see a lot of people discussing, talking about it, a big piece of your work. How did you get into this work, executive coaching, leadership coaching, to the point that you felt like, you know what, I probably need to write a book about this? That's a big thing. You positioned yourself as a thought leader in the space. How did this come about?
Sure, interesting. Great question. I never started out to write a book.
Okay.
That wasn't the goal. That wasn't the goal at all. I went to college and graduate school studying business because I looked at it like this. I said, business is really kind of like the common language of all people in America. If you understand to understand America, I need to understand the way business works.
Yes, indeed.
So that's why I went and became a business major. Then after I graduated college, I went back. I started teaching. I was a professor. Actually, I'm a professor emeritus at Rowan College, South Jersey, in the business school there.
Shout out to Rowan. My niece Simone is over there. I know when she graduated last year, I believe.
Okay,
doing her thing. But shout out to Rowan. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. So there's also this kind of academic part of me, right? It's kind of research-based part of me. So what I started doing, as I was doing this, leadership training and development and coaching, all that kind of good stuff, I started to take a look at the literature, started to take a look at what the research is telling us, right? And what the research was telling us, loud and clear, is oftentimes contrary to what was standard procedures, right? So that was also one of the drivers behind the book. Right?
Okay, I got you.
I wanted to bring what we know actually works, right, to bear. I wanted to say, and here's the way you can apply that simply. You don't have to go read a bunch of academic journals. You don't have to go to graduate school.
Okay.
Here's things you can simply do that will glean results. And here's the data to prove it, that it's not just Milton Corsey's ideas.
Well, let's talk about it, right? So for individuals that aspire to an executive level role, but there's some executive readiness that needs to happen prior to that. What are some of the tangibles that they need to grasp to be successful?
Okay, great. Well, there's a bunch of stuff, right? I think that one of the things that anybody needs to do if they aspire to leadership, okay, is to gain clarity for themselves. So like, okay, when you get there, what is it that you want to accomplish? What the success looks like in that regards for you, right? You do clearly have to have the technical expertise and skill in your particular vocation, business, whatever that business is, right? You do have to have a real understanding of that.
For sure.
100%. But create clarity around who you are, how you see yourself as a leader, how you're going to help build your team, right? Because leadership is about building that team that's going to help you be successful.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to give you, and this is a really quick super sports analogy. And
Let's do it.
As a Philly guy, you'll appreciate
Let's do it.
One of our arch rivals, our arch enemies, the dreaded Dallas Cowboys, right?
Okay.
I 100% hate the Cowboys. I am a hater all day long with them. But if you look at their roster, right, you'll see a bunch of stars, big name guys, great athletes, but they haven't won anything in how many years?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. So it's not a function of the talent. It's a function of their leadership. They're building a team that can be successful. And that's not solely based on talent. The research and data backs that up across industries.
Yeah. It's interesting. When you think about that analogy, so many moving parts need to fit for an organization, a team, a business to be successful. And oftentimes we just go for the super talent, but we're not thinking. So as a recruiter, a lot of times when we're engaged in searches of East Coast executives, I like to ask, What does this person need to do that's not on the position description? That's the thing I need to know. And then tell me a little bit about the people they'll be reporting to and working with. And let's just try to find a fit, a really good fit. And I think sometimes I speak to people and they don't understand the question, but it's a question that needs to be answered. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're on radio, so you couldn't see me nodding. Well,
well, know what?
we
They can
speak.
see you nodding because we're broadcasting live on LinkedIn and Facebook. So
Okay,
yeah, we're locked
fantastic.
in. Yeah.
Well, those of you on LinkedIn and Facebook, you saw me nodding. And the reason I was nodding is because you're absolutely spot on, right? That is such a greater marker of long-term success than it is skills. Like we tend to get blinded by the what I call bright shiny things, right? We look at the resume. We'll look at the, maybe where they went to school. We'll look at who they know, all those things, right? And we're like, wow, this person's a great fit, unbelievably talented, really smart person, all these things. And then we bring them in and it just goes to crap. And it goes to crap because they didn't answer the questions that you just asked, right? That are fundamentally important. Again, I ask clients all the time when they were talking about staff issues. I'm like, what were you looking for? Right? Yeah. What were you looking for? And I tend to think this. I tend to think you're much better off finding the right fit. We can teach you the skill.
There you go.
That's that. Assuming you have the baseline intelligence to be able to, you're teachable. I want somebody who's a great fit for the organization, who's passionate about what it is our mission is.
I'm going to give a secret that we use and that I've used for quite some time, decades in my recruitment work. And this is for all you other recruiters out here that are emulating the work we do with East Coast executives, but you're not doing it as good as us. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing, right? I would like to know, I always ask the hiring managers, the leadership, if we get together a year from this hire and I'm sitting across from you and I say, hey, how's X doing in the role? What will you tell me if they had a really, really successful first year? And then they just tell you what's really important, right? And it could be a sales number that they reached. It could be some relationship things. It could even be developmental. But they'll give you an idea of what's necessary for someone to be successful in that role, according to them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the type of leadership that everyone needs. When you come into opportunities, you need to have a blueprint, a roadmap that allows you to be successful. Why are some leaders not doing this?
Well, because they're not clear.
Okay.
Right? They're not clear. Like the mere fact that you have to ask that question makes it clear to me that they aren't even thinking that way.
Yes.
Right? And again, to the point, we know what really drives success. It's having that clarity, right? Clarity is kindness. It is vitally important that everybody is understanding what success looks like before we start the game, right? If you wait until the game starts and then go, crap, where we're at, you're going to end up lost.
Yes.
It's like, I remember, what was it? Alice in Wonderland. I remember the story where, and I don't remember all the characters, but there was this one line there like this. Alice was lost and she asked somebody, which way do I need to go? And they asked her, where are you headed? And she said, I don't know.
Oh.
The response was that any road will take you
there. Any road will take you there. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the first time. I've been doing this for a while. Kenneth L. Johnson Show, coming up on our 1-year anniversary for this particular show. We've never had an Alice in Wonderland reference. I just want you to know that. This is the first. So you were the first. We're going to have to put you on the wall for the Alice in Wonderland reference. I'm going to talk to station manager Allison about that. It's the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live on WPPM 106.5 Philly. All right, look, we got leaders that are successful in being leaders, right? What are the things, how do I want to phrase this? For someone that's looking to transition into senior leadership, right? What distinguishes them from equally talented people that can't make the transition?
There's a couple of things.
Okay.
I think, one of them, super important, is to have clarity of vision. right? If you look at people,
It's everything.
yeah, right. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going.
It's the Alice in Wonderland thing again, right?
100%, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
There you
I
go.
know where I'm heading. And once it's clear to me, it becomes clear to everybody else
Sure.
who works with me. And then the thing is, you need to be able to articulate that in such a way that people, it resonates with them.
Sure.
Like, I'll use another example of this one. I'm sure you probably heard this is not as obscure as Alice in Wonderland, but it was Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech.
Okay.
The iconic speech.
Yes.
Everybody's aware of what that speech was about.
For sure.
Right? And people came from all over the country. This is back in the 60s, right? Now, you people are coming in buses. You know, they were coming in buses, they were trains, they were walking, they were doing all this thing. There wasn't any social media to announce what was going on. This was word to mouth, people on the radio, all that kind of good stuff. And all those people showed up. Like, that mall in Washington was full, right? And the reason that mall in Washington was full, they weren't there simply for Martin Luther King. They were there because the dream that he articulated that day, that was their dream too.
Yes.
Right? So again, it's about you as a leader being able to attract your tribe. Right? Those people are willing to literally die for the accomplishment of that dream. And you can attract those that, clarity. He was super clear on what success looked like, right? He wanted an America where his children got judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin.
Man, listen, I needed you to wait probably about a minute and a half to give us that one, because that's a closer right there.
Oh, wow.
That's the closer right there. I needed you to wait a minute.
Should give me a heads up, bro.
Look, always having fun here. Kenneth L. Johnson Show, Executive Leadership Series, Milton Corsey. This is the work we do, man. I love the work you're doing out here in the space. Man, please give us some tips. And I know you're speaking about the book and 3 tips from earlier. And if you want to repeat them, that's fine. But as we close out, give us some tips for those people listening that are locked in and they're going to be our next leaders. What is it that they really need to do to ensure that they'll be successful moving forward?
Sure. Couple of things. I will repeat some of the things, but I'll leave with this.
Let's go.
One of the things I share is that human beings, all of us, are feeling beings that think, not thinking beings that feel. That's the order of operation. That's how we're wired. Every human being on the planet. I don't care if you are an accountant, a nuclear physicist, or you're an actor or an actress. We're feeling beings that think, not thinking beings that feel. Every leader needs to understand that and understand that the connection you make with people is human, fundamentally, right? You have to be seen, heard, and felt valued for you to give me your discretionary effort. That's number one, right? The second thing is that we need to make sure that we are continually building on those relationships. Relationship is the one-time thing, right? It's not like I met Kenneth met Milton. Hey, we got along cool. Everything, good dude, right? We have to continue to build that, right? The third thing I would say is, as leaders, it's important to understand what that dynamic looks like, right? And I'll give you a really super quick story too. I have a cousin of mine who is a artist now. She I don't know if you ever heard her name. I'll share her name because she's family. Crystal Waters. Yeah, that's my cousin. Yeah, that's my cousin, right? Okay. And me and her worked together. We've been tight since we were little. This high. But the thing is that Crystal always had like a really sharp sense of humor. Like, she would mess with me.
Gotcha.
And one of the things I remember after she made it, right? When that song came out, I'm homeless. She's homeless and all that kind of good stuff. She started making it, right? We had a conversation one day. One of the things she said to me was that people interpreted her differently now because of the role she had, right? Same thing for me.
Gotcha.
Understand that.
Man, love it. Love the story. Listen, tell our listeners how they can stay connected to you and the work you're doing.
Absolutely. Again, my book, To Lead as Human, is available on Amazon. Just go in there, get it. It's a great read. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. I am the Director of Human Capital Solutions for a firm outside of Philadelphia called Achieve Next. AchieveNext.com. You can go online and check us there. You can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah. I'd love to, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, through any social media avenue, and I promise you I'll get back.
We appreciate you for getting back to us and coming on the Kenneth L. Johnson Show. Shout out to Jennifer Witter for the invite. We appreciate you, sis. Thank you so very much for making this connection. Milt, No, Jennifer was on the show actually. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so I'll send you that. Yeah, she was
Please
on the
do.
show.
Please do.
The show is the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live, WPPM 106.5 Philly. We appreciate you for sharing this time with us today. Thank you so very much, everybody that's listening to us on 106.5 FM here in Philly. And those of you on LinkedIn and Facebook or on the stream, we do this for you. So thank you for locking in. The Kenneth L. Johnson Show, WPPM 106.5 Philly. All right.
All right.
Good.
All right. I appreciate that, bro.
I appreciate you.
Oh my goodness.
Man, we could have done it.